This Week in Feminism.
I had a job, and then I didn't show up. No, I don't.
.com.
No, we're still alive. I don't need to go under my desk. Perfect.
No nukes.
Just making sure, because I don't know if you know this, but when there's a nuclear fallout, this solid block of pine, that's all this guy needs.
And a mask.
Yes. Well, we need an N95 mask.
Yeah. Correct.
Yes. An N95 mask because of the uranium particulates. That's the primary concern there. We're going to be talking about potential World War III, but before that, we'll also be talking about today. Look, this doesn't exist in a bubble, Russia and Ukraine. I think a lot of people are missing not only how this affects you, but how domestic policy here, specifically domestic energy policy, regardless of how you feel about Native Americans or climate justice, how it affects the rest of the world, the rest of the free world, and the rest of, by the way, the oppressed third world. One of the greatest things the United States can do for people, for example, in places like India or places anywhere, pick anywhere in South America, developing countries, is use our own resources, is access our own energy production. Not only that, but it's also pretty important that the United States dollar is used as the benchmark, and that could go away soon, and that could affect everybody. So before you're eager to go off to war, and this is what we see from the left and the right on the media today, let's ask ourselves. Right now, it's hard to get the numbers. Thousands of people dead in the Ukraine. Terrible. Your heart goes out to them. Do you want that number to be 1 billion? That's the risk-reward that we're looking at. Not to mention the deaths from skyrocketing energy prices. But before I go on to any of that, this is a live show, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. If I don't tell you that we are not doing a show, that means we're still doing a show. We're just not on YouTube. So you can watch it on Rumble, or you can join Mug Club. LidoScardo.com/Mug Club. We'll be doing an additional 45 minutes today discussing vigilantism as it relates to pedophiles. Not advocating exactly.
Not at all.
But kind of advocating, but not advocating.
Not advocating.
Not advocating. No. That's right. We want the pedophiles to be set free with no bail required, and we want the pedophile vigilantes to be jailed with no bail allowed. So my question to you, first off, how pissed off are you about gas prices? Second, if someone molested your child, would you shoot them? If you were on the jury, would you find the man guilty who tried to shoot him? That's just teaser.
Questions. Just questions.
I certainly wouldn't dump several gallons or $38 worth of gas on them.
No, you would not. Kerosene is cheaper at this point, I think.
It is.
I don't know exactly.
Zippo fluid.
Yes, Zippo fluid. I think Dave's a little bit low. But first, before I bring in Mr. Landau, we have Gerald A. How are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you, sir?
I know you're fired up about Iran.
Oh, well, just a little bit. All of the international stuff is like really important to me. It's kind of in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I love it when we get back into bed with terrorists for oil when we could just do it ourselves.
Oh, that's
Great.
foreshadowing.
Yeah.
You Steinbeck, you.
I know.
And then we have him here. You know him, you love him. You can follow him on Twitter at Landau Dave. Dave Landau, how are you, sir?
Ahoy, and you?
I'm fine. You look like you're a '90s skateboarder.
I took my hat off, and everybody was like, "Look at that hat hair," and I said, "It's magnificent," so I'm rocking it today.
You look like a '90s bully, like, yeah, punk. You want to go?
Take it.
Yeah.
Straight out of Paperboy.
Yeah, boy.
I know, right?
I bet you're gay.
Do you mean Paperboy, the Canadian rapper?
No, I'm at the game.
No, that's Drake, the half Jew from Westmount who couldn't outrun the school shooter in Degrassi. Oh, he's a tough hooligan, that Drake.
Old Wheels McCaffrey.
Yes. Very different. Everyone else is bragging about their wheels. He's bragging about his actual wheels.
Oh. Hey, you only have to buy one pair of cool shoes.
Right. And then as he gets older, he's bragging about his tennis balls.
Yep. Blang, blang.
Before I move on to that, it's also, by the way, International Women's Day, which is thrilling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Do they celebrate that in Saudi Arabia? They beat you harder.
Yes.
So
You drive less.
But celebrating women, before we move on to that, we do need to celebrate the beautiful and brave women here in the United States. I'm not even sure whose side this lady is on exactly, but she seems primarily concerned with two things as she clearly becomes or displays. I shouldn't say become because she was already certifiable long before this.
Yes.
Displays her certifiable insanity. Two things. See if you can catch them.
Black Lives Matter. My pussy matters. Black Lives Matter. My pussy matters.
You're what?
Take a guess.
Black Lives Matter. My pussy matters.
Again, huh?
You make no sense. What is
More
wrong with
people
you?
don't matter, but her fucking pussy matters.
She dropped.
I love
the
how she
last one.
drops it like the Hobgoblin in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
My pussy matters, Toby.
She's wrong. Nobody wants that at all.
No, certainly not the Black Lives she's championing.
No, it doesn't matter.
They'd be like,
at all.
Black Lives Matter. Yeah, mine.
Her.
Ooh.
No, we don't want that.
Ooh.
Was that thing in the clearance bin?
You don't tie them together. Don't make us guilty by association with that clam.
What was she
She must
throwing?
have broken. I don't know. She must have broken at least $12 worth of
Yeah,
merchandise.
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
She's well under the $999 minimum.
Easily.
Well, I thought you could steal it. I didn't think you could just smash it.
I don't know. Look, I don't understand the technicality, but at that
Right,
point,
yeah.
once you grab it, it's yours.
You do
That's
whatever
true.
you want, make whatever claims you
Yeah,
want.
I think that's how it works.
Was she bowling? Like, what the hell?
What were those? Were those pumpkin candles?
That's what I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
I think they were candles.
She's offended by candles. That's fine.
She just went to the clearance rack. She's like, I want to commit a felony here, but I don't want to vandalize the in-season candles. Let's stay away from the St. Patrick's Day. Let me grab the pumpkin and Valentine's Day candles.
Well, she was looking for the Gwyneth Paltrow vagina
Yes.
candle to fool somebody she was having over later.
Yes.
And it's completely out of stock.
Yeah, she tried to light that candle, wafting like a pie and Yogi Bear. She thought all the black guys were like,
No, no.
I
they
just
show
leave
up
it
in
on the
fear.
windowsill.
The fish.
Gotcha.
all right. So it is International Women's Day. You know this? It's International Women's Day.
It is, yeah. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
That's why we led with that.
Huh.
And I don't know if you know this, but in previous years, women have actually, they went on strike. I don't know if they're doing that this year. They did it last year, the year before that, where they went on strike to show people what a world without women would look like. Remember that? Remember that last year?
Yeah.
And shocking turn of events, the Dow Jones was up 500 points. HR complaints were at an all-time low. Traffic was smoother than ever before. Everyone was using their turn signals.
Crazy.
It's amazing. So let it never be said that you cannot make a difference. But there were some complications. There were some still primary issues where men didn't realize how good they had it.
Slightly dry.
We need that lady with the candles.
Be careful what you ask for. Okay? You just might get it. When's the International Men's Day? I'm against all of these days.
It's called Gay Pride Month.
No. When's Straight Pride Month?
Yeah, there is
I
no
really
Straight
want-
Pride Month. That's the problem. Is like women have their women's only gyms,
Yeah.
curves.
Yeah.
If guys do it, it just becomes a bathhouse with Fauci.
Guys have man tits. It's not a bad gym.
Right.
Ah,
yeah,
But
exactly.
you just don't want to be seen walking in.
No, you also don't want to see them freeing the nipple.
Ah, yes. That's dangerous.
Daddy jiggles.
Yeah. Free the hairy areola that's swollen from years of xenoestrogens and sodium. Ah, boy.
A lot of salt.
Well, International Women's Day. I don't know how we celebrate it. Oh, no, that's right. We don't. So, I do want to celebrate some men. Cain Velasquez is a UFC fighter. And I want to be clear, we're going to have to talk about this on Mug Club today. So if you are here on YouTube, I recommend. And nothing would make me happier than more of you to go over to Rumble and Mug Club. Unfortunately, we have to be here on YouTube. They've been messing with their channel for a while. We know that we don't make a dime on YouTube. So please consider doing that. We can't talk about this topic
Yeah.
because it's controversial to get the warm fuzzies for a man who tries to shoot the molester of his child.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful. We have to tread carefully.
Yes.
It reminds me of that song, you know, if you're loving you's wrong, I don't want to be right.
Well, or blaming Hollywood. Where's Tipper Gore when you need her?
Well, I'm putting
You're
stickers.
going to put it on for Run DMC and not that So I think you have too much gain on my microphone. Are you hearing that? It's kind of clipping me a little bit or a little bit too much compression. So Cain Velasquez, are you good there, Keegan? Yep.
Yeah,
Are we
it's
good?
raining pretty heavily.
Oh, is that what's happening? It's raining. Sorry, it's storming here. Who'd have thought that in Texas in spring?
Mostly men.
So Cain Velasquez in the UFC, he's the ex-UFC heavyweight champion. And this is a story that's been making the rounds. I want to be clear. I knew about this last week and I didn't want to discuss it publicly because I did have a little bit of an inside lane, and now some of this information is publicly available. Not all of it. I will tell you, the more information that is going to be made available, the worse it's going to be. Not for Cain, but for the pedophile in question. And I do think that this creates an existential question for a lot of people. I know that we live in a society with laws and we don't tolerate vigilantism, but we also live in a modern society where, unfortunately, for the first time ever in human history, child sex offenders aren't killed on sight.
They're barely punished.
They're barely punished. And we'll get into that specifically, where in this case, the child sex offender was let out with no bail required, and the father who tried to take out the pedophilic trash was put in jail with no bail allowed. So let me just, I think we have a clip. Cain Velasquez, the man whose son, I'll give you the quick rundown. His son was molested at a daycare. Molested by a guy who didn't even work at the daycare. It was a daycare in a house. Allegedly 100 times. We don't know how many other victims had been assaulted by this man. And what happened was he was taken in, he was booked, right? He was charged, and then they said, you're going to go home on house arrest against the advice of the DA, who said, this person's a danger. This person has molested many times, sexually assaulted children many times. And they were going to get his ankle bracelet. This dad, whose child was effectively raped, sexually assaulted, did take justice into his own hands, chased the car down, and fired into the car. Ended up hitting the dad by non-fatal wounds. That's the story. There's more to it, which we'll discuss on Mug Club. But here's a video of Cain Velasquez appearing in court where he's being denied bail on attempted murder charges in California.
At a hearing in San Jose, a judge denied bail for Velasquez, who's been charged with attempted murder, assault, and shooting at an occupied vehicle. Police say Velasquez tried to shoot Harry Galarte, who's been charged with molesting Velasquez's 4-year-old relative
Who could have guessed?
at the daycare owned by Galarte's mother. Authorities say Velasquez also chased Galarte and his parents at high speed from Morgan Hill to South San Jose before ramming their truck twice and again firing shots at them. 2 bullets hit Galarte's stepfather, who is now recovering. The shooting and chase happened 3 days after a different judge freed Galarte from custody on supervised release over the DA's objection.
That looks like it could be Joseph Rosenbaum's doppelganger. To be fair,
Pretty much.
Cain Velasquez was following instructions. He was repeatedly screaming, shoot me N-word, shoot me N-word. It's the catchphrase of pedophiles.
I mean, don't say it if you don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, careful what you wish for.
Exactly. We never say chase somebody down and shoot them. That is, don't do that.
It's the old story of the pedophile monkey paw.
Right.
Or the map.
I'm the map, I'm the map.
Oh, how dare you.
I'm the map, I'm the map, I'm the map, I'm the map.
Dora's going to be a stripper.
Yeah, it makes sense that there's a revolving door for a pedophile.
Yeah.
He is the one that has to stay behind bars.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And look, can you comment, but before we go to Mug Club, there's a hashtag Free Cain is going on right now, and his legal defense fund has been taken down. Can we at least all find common ground that the dad, who in a moment of, I can only imagine with two small children, babies, toddlers, whatever the appropriate age term is, I don't really know. I can only imagine the rage. If someone can plead temporary insanity committing a murder against innocent people, can you not allow for temporary insanity or at least a temper flare-up when the guy finds out that his kid has been molested 100 times and that the guy is getting off scot-free at that point? At least until he's convicted? I mean, the whole point, right, where you deny bail, what they're doing with Cain Velasquez, is you deny bail to someone who's a danger to society at large.
Right.
Like someone who molests a kid 100 times.
Yeah.
California sees this guy as a danger to society at large. The only car he ever fired upon was the car carrying a pedophile.
That's true. If there are more pedophiles around, maybe he's a danger, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Not nobody that molested his child.
Yeah, I mean, he's the most dangerous guy at a
one
NAMBLA
guy.
convention.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, well, Disney's there. They don't want to put everyone in jail.
No, exactly. That's a good point. So, hashtag Free Cain. So, and if you guys want to show him some, I can't say show him some support. If you guys want to show this man some support, that at least he's not the monster that the pedophile is. Can we all find common ground on that? That a dad who commits an act of violence against someone who sexually assaulted his child is not the same kind of a monster as the man who committed the grossest act of evil that I can imagine? Does it get much more evil than that?
No, it actually doesn't. It's worse than murder, but it's treated as nothing.
Right.
That's what I don't understand about our society right now.
Yeah. I will talk about
And we should wait. And I would never say that I wish he was a better shot.
No, I would never say that. And I would never say that, you know what, this guy was UFC heavyweight champion. Everyone would be better off if he'd have dragged him from the car and beaten him with his fists.
Well, I'm just saying.
And feet.
Not that you should.
He could have submitted him.
Why? That's not fun. You'd submit your drunken uncle at a cookout. You don't submit a pedophile.
We'll talk about it later.
You throw some elbows because you don't even honor the unified rules.
How many cookouts have you ruined?
My uncle ruined them.
Well,
that's
you
true.
know. Yeah.
I'm not an uncle yet.
Well,
So
you're
no.
not?
No, I'm not. It's well.
I said I wanted my burger
art.
medium.
You can be an honorary uncle.
I could be an honorary uncle, but I'm not. Now, by the way, also
was an offer.
loudofbetter.com/tour
Yeah.
to go see us live. Colorado Springs, June
Boom.
18th is sold out, but we'll probably be adding a show. We're working
keep
with the
your eye
venue
out.
right now. Tulsa, Oklahoma, May 14th. Me and Dave on tour, stand up, and also some sketch comedy, some improv comedy, but we'll both be doing some stand-up. Speaking of performing, the performance arts, Kanye West. So he's been in some hot water always. And more recently, because of his music video,
Yes.
Yeah.
where people were upset that it seems like, and again, it's art, so not everything is literal, but people were upset. This was trending this weekend that he allegedly was killing Pete Davidson in the video. Now, I have two minds about this. I'm not entirely sure. Here's the clip, a clip from the video that you've likely seen.
Was once a thought from around the way.
My life was never
Easy.
My life was never
Easy.
That's the same motorcycle on which he was straddled.
Right. It's true.
Song was equally bad. Now, to be fair, I don't really know. That's not necessarily about Pete Davidson. They claim that he was burying Pete Davidson
Right, yeah.
because Pete Davidson is dating,
Yes.
Kim Kardashian.
Yes. Also, hip hop is now sampling hip hop.
Right. It used to be like you were grabbing from the Spinners, you were grabbing from the
Right.
Temptations. Now it's like Kanye is sampling Jay-Z, who's sampling Kanye.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's the inception of low-grade hip-hop.
It's really something. Yeah, it's Annie,
Yeah.
it's Jay-Z, and it's Kanye.
And to be fair, though, if you actually look at, and again, I understand art needs to be given
Yes.
permission to explore the space. That being
Wow.
said, if you look at the extended version, some people would argue that it's, I mean, as far as it relates to killing Pete Davidson, that it's pretty cut and dry. And we actually have the exclusive. It hasn't been released yet.
He was once a thought from around the way.
I wanna kill Davidson. Yeah, just talking about Pete Davidson killing. All I wanna do is dig a hole for Pete Davidson. Not jealous, that's Davidson. Yeah, talking about killing Davidson. Literally, not figuratively, Davidson. Yeah, literally, not figuratively. I wanna kill Pete Davidson. Put him on a table. Kill him, literally, because I'm able. Put him in. Pete Davidson. Make him sin. Hurt his ass. Kill him. Kill him.
I don't know. I'm on the fence.
Yeah, he's an artist, and who am I to interpret the lyrics?
Come on, man. It's a song about Pete Davidson.
It's art. Well, you're going to take all art literally now?
It's a song about Pete Davidson.
I don't know.
He didn't even name Pete Davidson more than 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. And by the way, Pete Davidson could be figurative. I mean,
Yeah.
he says it's not figurative, but
But
that's
it's-
art as well. He
it's
could be
his
figurative. He could be
face.
saying it's like when people say literally and they don't mean literally.
Yeah.
No, they do mean literally. He was holding a head of Pete Davidson.
He was
saying
holding a
Pete
claymation
Davidson
head that resembled,
bore a vague resemblance, Dave.
well, it was
Striking.
striking.
It was striking.
It was
Word,
it was a claymation Pete Davidson, but I'm not the one to interpret his art. Maybe he was
Right.
holding his head to comfort him, even
Yeah.
though it was severed.
He could have been cradling his head.
yes.
And killing could mean cuddling.
Yeah.
The point is, who are we to tell Kanye what his art means to him?
Yeah, I think this is clearly overblown, and I wouldn't have him checked out for psychological needs.
No,
you know.
not at all.
He's never been somebody who thought he was Christ.
No. I was going to say he's also Jesus, but yeah.
Well, Jesus.
Yeezus.
Which I'm not sure if that's just...
I don't fully understand it either
speller?
because then there's Yeezus and then the shoes are Yeezy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they're very expensive.
But his life was never easy, but it was Yeezy.
Yeah, and then he wants to hear Jesus in the clubs.
Yeah.
The point is, he's a good Christian man who would never kill Pete Davidson.
Correct.
So you know what? You shame on you. Hey, Gerald.
What?
I don't know. Do you see this?
What?
Yeah,
The plank in his eye. Still trying to get that speck out of Yeezys.
No, the
it's called
murder.
judgment.
Yeah.
Murder out of Yeezy. Sorry,
Judgmental
it's
son of
a
a bitch.
different thing. Yeah.
All right. Hey, by the way,
Called art.
speaking of performance art, you can follow the podcast if you're subscribed here on YouTube. We're on audio, Apple, Spotify, as long as they allow us, Android, all that stuff. Used to be called iTunes when I was a kid.
Really?
What? Now it's time for our first fact check of the day. Jen Psaki, I believe this was yesterday, maybe it was the day before, who knows at this point. She was responding to Mr. Chinless Pete Ducey, saying that the high gas prices are actually the fault of Vladimir Putin.
It sounds like you guys are blaming Putin for the increase in gas
They are.
prices recently.
Man owns
but
no chin.
weren't gas prices going up anyway because of post-pandemic supply chain issues?
Well, I think there's no question that, as we have seen,
There's a
and
question.
outside analysts have conveyed this as well, the increase and the anticipated continued increase, which is, I think, what some of your colleagues were asking about, that is a direct result of the invasion of Ukraine, and also there was an anticipation of that was factored in as gas prices have gone up.
Oh, so you were anticipating the surge in gas prices because of Russia and the Ukraine, and the way you anticipated it was by forcing the prices of gas prices to raise. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this.
Yeah.
She was anticipating it, so gas prices went up well before this.
Right.
Oh, so she thought there was going to be a bloodbath, so
Yeah.
they anticipated the gas prices
Yes.
instead of stopping the bloodbath?
She's like a like a ginger oracle.
Yeah.
The Spartans consulted her before Thermopylae.
I saw her talking to Neo earlier
Yes.
today.
I think it's Thermopylae.
Right. What did I say? Thermopylae?
Thermopylae.
Thermopylae. I don't care. What am I thinking? I'm thinking of all-clad Thermopylae pots and pans. I just got a new
There you go.
set with the
Thermopylae.
copper and the aluminum.
I have a pair
That
of
heats
these.
up quickly. Lifetime
You
warranty.
almost-
They're not a sponsor at all. I'm just very thrilled about my new pots and pans. That's not a joke. All clad.
You get kind of excited
It's
about that
unbelievable how much better. By the way, people out there, if you don't know the difference between buy your pots and pans once and buy right, it makes all the difference in the world. I have no
That'll be a
idea
new
how
bit
much
commercial.
I have no idea how much non-stick cancerous coating I've been swallowing over the years.
Well, most of it.
Better than paying too much for gas.
So let's get to this. The gas prices. Okay, sure, they've surged obviously now because we understand the necessity of reducing our dependence on foreign oil. We get that. Prices have gone up significantly since the crisis, but they were going up for a long time. I mean, since about January 2021, something like that.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Roughly.
End of January-ish.
End of January-ish ballpark figure.
Someone closed a pipe. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. So when Biden took office 14 months ago, former Vice President Joe Biden, the national average gas price was $2.39 a gallon. February 7th, prior to Satan incarnate himself, Putin, invading Ukraine, the national average was $3.44. That's more than $1. That's a lot of cents. I don't know if you know how many cents are in $1. It's about 100. I'll have to consult the oracles before Thermopylae.
As far as cents go, she don't make any.
She don't make, and
I
you know
said
what?
it.
The dollars don't make sense.
That's right.
Not when she talks. So, by the way, in 2019, it was $2.26.
Oh, wow.
So it was $2.26 in 2019, and then right as Biden took office, it was about $2.39. That's less than $1 if you do the
way
math.
less.
And now today it's $4.17.
Wow.
$4.17. That's the national average. We'll get to it in a little bit. In California, it's basically $7.
It's very close on some of the highest end.
Good.
So here's the thing. Yes, gas prices are going up, and some people are trying to say it's overblown. No, look, I don't know if you understand that the price of energy affects everything. And it's not just gas, right? Gas is a reflection of petroleum in general, of energy in general across the globe, and that will be reflected in the prices that you have to pay at the grocery stores for anything. Everything from your frozen fruit to your beef to whatever the hell it is that you guys buy at Whole Foods, I don't really know. I'm always confused when I go into the aisle at Whole Foods.
I know. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't get it. I'm like, is this an ethnic store? Like, what are you trying to
Right,
be?
yeah.
Like, pick something.
Is this a spice?
Is it a health store?
Spice rack?
What are you?
I don't know. But either way, I'm leaving with chia seeds.
I just have a quick question here.
$80 more than it should be.
So they had their crystal ball into the future. They saw the Ukraine thing coming. They knew there was a lead up to it that was increasing gas prices.
Correct.
And they did to stop it, not to stop Russia invading because that was probably going to happen anyway, but to do something to mitigate the increase in gas prices. There was some big thing they did, right?
Raise them.
Yes.
But
and I know before you send the tweets, I'm not saying that the president sets the gas prices. I'm just saying that the president sets the energy policies that, of course, affect the gas prices.
Yes.
By the way, in case you doubt me, read the Green New Deal. It's like a page and a half. It doesn't take that long to understand. This is all about climate justice. When you hear this administration discussing gas prices, when you hear them discussing wanting to move to green energy sources, understand that this is all about climate justice. Read the Green New Deal. These are the people who control the Democratic Party. When people say they're extreme on both sides, not really. Not really when it relates to energy. Read the Green New Deal and then understand how scary it is that anybody voted for it. Well, no, it wasn't. If one person supported the Green New Deal, that's one too many. The fact that somebody even without stopping themselves put quill to paper. I know this isn't a quill, but it's art. Put quill to paper.
It was AOC, wasn't it?
Yes. It was her and a couple of other people.
So it was crayon to paper after
yes, it was
she couldn't
to
figure
paper.
out the connect the dot thing.
And the paper was cut with safety scissors.
Yes.
The scissors that also looked like two crayons. The fact that somebody actually put pen to paper and created the Green New Deal and proposed it is alarming enough. Look, this is what I'm saying. I'm not even talking about, how a bill becomes a law. I'm going to sit in committee. I'm talking about before any of that, just the Green New Deal. Think of a thought bubble in my head, and that's enough. That's scary enough.
AOC herself should not have voted for this.
Well, she was busy in her bomb shelter January 6th or something. So
telling everybody about her boyfriend's feet.
Yes.
Well, you all want them. You got it. That's the problem.
And Dick Morris is like, did someone say feet?
Huh? I'll take two.
So here's the thing. Just as we've mentioned, gas prices may have exploded. We all know that. Now, of course, a lot of people, and rightfully so, and this is where we have the disconnect. This does affect the working middle class. This is how Donald Trump won a state like Michigan, a place like Wisconsin, the working middle class, because I think we're seeing again, hey, remember when people thought the Democrats were not looking out for the interests of the American working class?
Right. Yeah,
I think we're experiencing that again, which is why there's going to be a red wave, the likes of, it should be sponsored by Tampax in 2022.
Jeez.
Pearl Ultra Jumbo, heavy flow. So people are upset about it. Here you go.
People were feeling fed up about fueling up at the pumps.
I just think it's ridiculous that we're paying $5 a gallon.
Yeah, it's more expensive than I've ever
James
paid.
Spader?
I see it as an opportunity to capitalize on a global tragedy, and it's just screwing regular people over who just
You
need
voted
to get to where
for
they
it. I
gotta
know
go.
you did.
The conflict in Ukraine has forced a sharp rise of late, but gas prices have been steadily going up since the start of 2022.
Since the beginning of the year, crude oil prices are up by about $50 a barrel, and that translates to about $1.25 a gallon at the pump.
Does he really want us to think that that's his office window in front of the Rockies?
Yeah, it could be in Denver.
In Berkeley.
It said Berkeley.
Oh, did it?
Berkeley, yeah. My
just
office is in
background.
front of a mountain.
Yeah, that means look at and if I pan, you can see all my books.
Yes, that's how I know I'm a gas price.
I used to appear on Fox News when I was at a studio. It was a green screen. They go, do you want the cityscape or the library, the books? Like, I don't know. What do most people get? Like, well, a lot of people ask for the books because they want to seem smart. I'm like, books on a green screen makes you seem smart?
I'll go cityscape, thank you very much.
So we just talked about the average gas price, across the country per gallon right now is something like $4.17. It's close to $7. I think it's $6.95. I'm rounding up. You can admonish me. I don't give a rat's ass. Let me put this in context, and people were talking about this on Twitter. Yesterday we were talking about how we went back and watched like Dumb and Dumber.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we saw the gas prices and said, like, hey, that's basically the gas prices now. The gas prices now in California are so high, they are higher than post-apocalyptic crappy film I Am Legend.
I'm a survivor living in New York City. I am broadcasting on all AM frequencies.
That was supposed to be shocking.
There's some consultant on there like, hey, maybe we should boost it to $6.95. No, the key is it's got to be believable. It's got to be horrifying enough that it'll scare people, but you can't show the monster right away.
Yeah.
Don't worry, it's still $2 less than Mad Max and Book of Eli.
Yeah. Did they elect Joe Biden in I Am Legend too?
Effectively,
right before it happened?
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
I believe the movie is about a vaccine everyone got.
The parallels are striking.
I'm just saying, I didn't write it. It's just a movie.
Yeah.
Okay?
Just a movie.
I'm referring to the vaccine in the film that killed everyone.
Is he Dr. Fauci running around? I can fix this.
Yeah, exactly.
One guy
just gets shot by Will Smith. Like, oh, okay, well.
One guy and a German Shepherd are still alive.
Where are the sandflies when you need
How does
them?
he keep the German Shepherd alive?
I know.
You have any idea what a liability that thing is?
Well, historically, you think he'd be mad at him.
Yeah, you would think so too. Well, they don't have. I don't know what their hydro
Isn't there a shepherd?
situation
He's
is.
got a shepherd.
I think he has a shepherd in that,
right?
Yeah. Well, but there are no more fire hoses.
No.
There's lunch counters.
But the good thing is he can eat at any lunch counter he wants.
Yeah.
The point is there's a silver lining. Think about that for a second. When we say that it's beyond parody, that's a post-apocalyptic film.
Yeah.
Yeah, a group of people sat there and were like, look, it just can't get higher than that.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to believe it.
And people at that, so that's like the high end in, what is it, LA County, San Francisco kind of Bay Area. Yeah, they're looking at it going, yeah, that's Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah,
I saw that in a film once.
Not even once. I saw that in the theater when I was on the road doing comedy. It's not even an old movie.
And by the way, this is one of those things where if you were to say this, like we were talking about, the consultant in that film who was fired for being hyperbolic, saying, I think we should make it like 750. There might have been, if only there had been a world leader who everyone accused of being hyperbolic, everyone accused of being, trying to induce mania, who accurately predicted. I sound like Joe Biden right now. Huh? If only that, like an oracle who accurately predicted $7 gas. Did we have it?
And the lumber's gone through the roof. The lumber, I guess, as much as anything, but everything, steel. You look at what's going on with pricing, and obviously you're going to have inflation. Gasoline is going to stop at $6, $7, I think, based on what I'm seeing. We were energy independent when I left, and right now I would have to say we are no longer energy independent. We're putting windmills all over the place, which cost a fortune.
Now I'm hoping he's right in that it stops at 7.
Yeah. Well, no, with breaking news right now, they just went away from, actually, it's still up there.
Oh, so on CNN, bring this up really quick.
Biden is about to announce a ban on Russian oil imports. Okay, so one, finally, right? And two, guess where gas prices are going now?
Right.
Where?
Now, it would be one thing if they banned Russian imports and we said, well, okay, so that means that we're going to be able to use our own? No.
Oh, yeah. Well.
No, we need more green cars. Well, what are we going to do right now if we're getting rid of depending on the number used, 3 to 10% of the energy's oil production, right, coming from Russia? The world's oil production, or I don't know if it's the oil production or energy overall. If it's the United States, depending on if you use the global number, it can be anywhere from 3 to 10, or just the United States, it can be from 3 to 10. The point is, it's enough.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's one thing to say, okay, no more Russian imports, which I support.
Yeah.
But you can only do, we just talked about this yesterday. So you're experiencing this in real time. So smash the like button if you understand that you're experiencing this in real time. We discussed this exactly yesterday. This just happened. It is breaking right now. You can only negotiate from a position of strength. You're in an entirely different scenario on banning Russian imports as it relates to oil if you are energy independent or relatively energy independent than if you've been approving pipelines going through their country and increasing your dependence on oil coming from these other countries who, by the way, don't care about us, hate us, want to wipe us off the face of the map, or don't have EPA standards. My point is you can take any of those evils. Now, here's the thing. Far be it from me to defend the oil companies on every level.
Yeah.
But I do think, this is a little, they're palming it. They're palming it because right now they want you to blame they want you to scapegoat one person, right? One industry and one only. But the thing is, if we're going to blame the oil companies, like you just heard that lady saying, I think this is taking advantage of the American people. Okay, I understand that. Who's taking advantage of the American people? We're going to have some numbers here in a little bit. Might shock you. And I grew up with this in Quebec. So I'm right in there. I went to community college. I know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. They want you to believe that it's the oil companies exclusively raking in all the dough. Just take it from this black CNN host and Bob Newhart.
You represent a district in California where today, according to AAA, the average cost for a gallon of regular is $4.74. Is the administration, is Congress doing enough to prepare the American people for the cost that may come as a result of putting this pressure on Putin?
Probably not enough, but the American people need to understand who is making the big profit on the gas. Right now, I would call for Congress, Senate, and House to conduct immediate hearings on the profitability of the oil industry. There is clearly price gouging going on here, and they're going to whine and say, oh, it's not us, it's the Saudi Arabians or somebody else. But the profits of those industries have gone through the roof.
No, we're not really saying that it's the Saudi Arabians, U.S. House member John Garamendi from California, the worst state in the union. We're saying it's you. And this is a solution they always have. Right? Well, we're going to look at them and we're going to make sure they bring prices down. Hey, isn't that strikingly similar to something that former Vice President Joe Biden said, by the way, about inflation and prices, which only a month and a half prior he said was a good thing, but then told you exactly how he was going to bring those prices down. Same solution.
I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages.
Huh?
Folks.
I'm drunk.
Yes.
Do you know how stupid he is? He doesn't realize what he said. He didn't say lower your price. He said lower your cost.
Yeah.
Which means they
Dementia
would make
is
more
not
money.
Right.
Because that doesn't have the effect of the price.
One could almost argue, go with me here, that businesses are almost always trying to reduce costs.
You know.
That's almost one of the primary purposes of business is to reduce costs.
Don't go out on a limb
and
too
increase
far.
profits.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, just reduce your costs. And every business owner's like, of course.
Why didn't I think of that?
But also, why does he need to fight inflation? Inflation's a good thing.
I thought.
Remember we were told inflation wasn't happening, it was overblown. Then we were told inflation's actually a good thing. And then his solution was, we're just going to tell them to reduce your costs. Well, that's wonderful. Just like with gas prices, just reduce your costs. So here's the thing. If you want to talk about the American public, the working class being raped by oil companies, that they're taking advantage of people during a pandemic, fine. If you want to go that route, okay. But you would have to place an equal amount of blame on the United States government. I'm only asking for consistency. So according to Stillwater Associates, for every gallon of gas, consumers are paying about $1.18 in taxes and fees. So let me break this down for you in the state of California, where House Member Bob Newhart's from. 18 cents in federal taxes, 51 cents in state taxes, 10 cents sales tax, 22 cents for the low carbon program. Oh, boy, that's not an umbrella term that can be abused.
Wow.
15 cents for greenhouse gas program. 2 cents for underground tank storage. Here's the thing.
What?
22 cents for low carbon program, then 15 cents for greenhouse gas. Can't you just bundle it and make it like nothing?
Well, they can't label it slush fund program.
Right.
Like it's just.
Well, yeah,
it
the
doesn't
low
pass.
carbon program is just don't drive.
Yeah.
Don't drive your usual route.
It's 22 cents. Where does it go? Social Security. What about the Social Security fund? That's been gone for a long time.
What are you talking about?
Do I get that when I retire?
No,
we just take it till you're dead.
So think about this. For every gallon of gas sold in California, the state, right, takes $1. The federal government takes 18 cents. So that's $1.18, okay? If you add up the oil companies together, oil producers, refineries, so oil producers somewhere like anywhere from $1.05 to $1.15, call it $1.12. Refineries make 5 cents per gallon, those evil refineries. Tankers, pipelines make about 1 cent a gallon. Gas station owners make about 4 to 7 cents per gallon. In other words, they're both making effectively the same amount. They're both taking the same amount for each gallon of gas you put in your car. So why are we only blaming oil companies? And how can Jen Psaki and Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi look themselves in the mirror and say, I know, I'll vilify oil companies. At least these people provide a service. You've suckled at the government teat for 52 years, Joe Biden. Why aren't you just as responsible? The numbers are about the same. This is all I'm saying. A little bit of consistency. If you're going to be mad at the oil companies, if you're going to be mad at the gas station owners, or the refineries, you absolutely have to be mad at the government. And by the way, I lived through this in Quebec.
Yeah.
So in Quebec, I don't know what the prices are in Quebec right now. I bet you they're higher than California.
A lot.
When I lived in Quebec, we would go per liter, and it was significantly more expensive than the United States. I remember my uncle from Wisconsin came in and visited, and he didn't realize that it was per liter. And he goes, look at that, Kyle. Look at that. Look at those cheap gas prices there. I'm like, that's per liter. He's like, what's a liter? I'm like, we also have our milk in bags. He's like, you're crazy.
Yeah, no, the first time I went over there, I was like, well, this is nice.
Yeah.
You want to convert that just 2.3 times that.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
the gallon roughly.
So people were so mad about paying such high gas prices in Quebec, where I was raised, that they were constantly vilifying the oil companies. And of course, the local government and the provincial government, the federal government there in Canada, the national government, they kept blaming the oil companies. And the oil companies and the gas stations got so pissed off, they actually put at every pump a graph to explain. I think we have it. Yeah, they put up a graph to explain where the profits actually went. So kind of like now they're really mad that there are Biden stickers being put up at gas pumps that say, I did that.
Yeah.
Just tag a police precinct. You're better off than putting an easily removable sticker at a gas pump.
A rapist telling you about his childhood
right.
in a pie chart. This is why I'm hurting you.
Yes, exactly.
Right here.
Oh, thank you.
And here's 30% of it. That was
wow.
mother.
Look at New Jersey gas price there. $4.27 for
$4.27.
New Jersey.
Wow. And you're not allowed to pump your own gas. At least you weren't in New Jersey when I lived in New York.
You're still. I don't think you're still allowed to.
Yeah, because it could be a fire hazard, something like that. Oh,
what
is everyone doing in the rest of the country? What are we tap dancing at the pump?
What's like when they take? Yeah, if you're on your cell phone, it could explode. It's like,
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not true.
Why is Tim Cook still free to roam?
Exactly.
How many lives has he taken? What, because I get a text? I get a text on my phone, now all of a sudden I'm going to look like Darkman?
I remember a guy came up to me in Jersey. I was like, is this the pull up to the pump old days where you come out and serve me on this side? I'm sorry, I'll move my car. And the guy's like, no, you have to do it here. I'm like, at your station?
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't think that's right.
I don't think that's legal.
And he's like, nope, it's all of Jersey. You can't pump your own gas. And I was like, I'm qualified.
Yes.
I can do it.
There are few things for which you are
I
qualified.
don't mind tipping. I'm just saying I could happily. You don't have to do this, sir.
Yeah.
But
He's
he
like-
did.
He's like, I do have to do it. Why?
a law.
Because once you create a law, you can't get it off the books. Even one as stupid as this. Now, we talked yesterday about what we can do because there are solutions that everybody out there should know about. I don't just want to be a Trevor Noah, John Oliver, people who just bitch and don't actually offer solutions, barring, of course, the solution of mandating vaccines for everybody. We talked about fracking. We talked about opening up our own energy reserves in Alaska. We talked about allowing more onshore drilling leases. Okay. We also talked about the Keystone XL pipeline. Now, to be clear, there is some misinformation going out. And when I say misinformation, I mean people on the left lying about this or misrepresenting it, and they're still free to post on social media. By the way, the sitting president, President Donald Trump, banned, as far as I know it, Putin may still be on Twitter.
Think so.
Cool.
Really? Really? Did you see there's a new Twitter? Someone can bring it up. I don't have this ready here for the show, but Twitter said that they're going to be removing any posts that sow distrust in the government of the Ukraine. Why should we trust any government, let alone Ukraine's government?
Wow.
Why is that a policy? So there's a difference between Keystone, the Keystone pipeline, and Keystone XL. Now, this was trending yesterday. And leftists thought that they really had a gotcha where they were saying, actually, opening the Keystone XL pipeline won't do anything to lower gas prices anyway. And I think we have some tweets up there. Yeah. They were trying to say that actually it's crude oil. It's Canada, which is true. And it's crude. And so they'll be selling it to China or Mexico. Now, those contracts don't exist. These are people who are effectively making assumptions, which, by the way, is also why Keystone XL would actually affect our energy prices, because the oil market is largely subject to speculators.
Yeah.
And if they understand that there are more reserves, if they understand that there's more access to oil, you see a correction of the market immediately. So here's what I was talking about earlier. Any increase in energy production will lower prices not only in the United States. It would be nicer to buy from Canada if we could, to have that option. But now, I mean, I don't, Putin, Trudeau, it's a toss-up.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
But Trudeau won't be in there. He won't be there much longer.
He's not going to invade anybody, though.
No, I have no
I
idea.
mean, Mounties, come on.
I don't know. Maybe he could.
He'd try.
He could try.
Maine. Go for Maine.
Be a great coup. Just lay low for 200 years. Then attack Honduras. Just show up. Take it. They'd be like, what did you see? What happened? And show up in Canada. She'd be like, what'd I tell you? And the Hondurans would be like, was he talking to me? I didn't even know.
Commander Blackface,
what
did
did he say? Yeah, Canada should just do that. Give themselves like plausible. I always thought, like, I've never punched. I'll never know what it feels like to punch somebody I can't stand in the face because, I'll get sued.
Yeah, it's International Women's Day. Today's the best days ever.
That tuna sandwich sucked. I'll never know what it feels like, but I always thought here's the problem with committing a crime, aside from the morality
and the punishment.
Yeah, is unless you're a pedophile, then you get an ankle bracelet,
revolving door. Friend.
But the perfect crime is you have to commit it against somebody who you have no connection with. That's the only way you can get away with it. But then you lose the satisfaction of committing the crime against the person you want to hurt, and so it's quite the quandary. But I always thought that if I were to do it, I would give myself plausible deniability. Like I would punch some random guy, but I'd yell like, "Stop eating my damn strawberries!" And you'd be like, "What? What did I do? Were those his strawberries?" He would have no idea, and by the time he's thinking about it, going through his memory Rolodex as to what he did wrong, accepting partial responsibility because it's a stand-up guy who I'm punching, I'm long gone.
And he's waking up in a hospital.
Yeah.
With a belly full of strawberries and a face full of tears.
Yes, and a mouthful of teeth.
Yep.
Shouldn't do any of this.
So here's a good example while we're talking about this. The Keystone XL pipeline. Yeah, sure, it's Canadian. Okay, got it. Crude. I understand. It's not necessarily our own oil immediately turn on the tap.
Right.
However, it's a part of a multi-pronged approach. Fracking, when we opened up our own reserves, it caused the global price of energy, of oil and gas to decline.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind when gas prices were at their absolute lowest, right, when you were getting under $2 gas here in the United States, as long ago as 2018, The Saudis and the Russians, they had to flood the market to compete. Here's an exact quote. The Saudis decided to flood the world market with oil and send crude prices from a 2014 peak of more than $100 per barrel to roughly $55 within a matter of months. If I'm not mistaken, it's $200 per barrel right now.
No, I don't remember what the current price is, but it's getting close.
It's getting close to $200 per barrel.
It's ratcheting up, and this is going to make it go up more. You're 100% right. This was economic warfare by Russia and Saudi Arabia, and really OPEC is really what you need to say, because those countries get together and basically say that's not okay for them to produce this much. We're going to flood the market and make it to where now they can't make money on oil and they have to stop fracking. So part of it was that. Then it was policies from the administration. But everybody needs to understand what we used to complain about in the 80s and the 90s was OPEC arbitrarily setting high prices for oil because they could. Nobody else was competing. Then we started competing, and it pissed them off.
Yeah.
And it took money out of their coffers, and energy prices for the globe went
Exactly.
down.
It doesn't exist in this vacuum. It's not an echo chamber. It's not a closed loop circuit, put it that way, where people try and think if the United States opens up their own reserves, that's the only thing that will affect their oil prices. No. If we have more access to oil energy, period, globally, particularly if it's not coming from Russia, coming from Saudi Arabia, coming from countries that hate us, or at the very least kind of hide their hatred from us, but are certainly not bastions of human rights. Guess what? Prices go down across the globe. Now, we should start with our own, but that's not in the cards right now for at least the next 2 years.
Oops.
That being said, it benefits everybody. Hey, when you talk about climate change and you talk about it killing people in the third world, and I know you want us to think that, the fact that there's some kind of a fracking pipe going through an urban area that has a median household income lower than the national average, that's climate, racial injustice, I believe is the term they use.
Yes.
Racial injustice or climate social justice. They make up a new term.
They blend them
every
together,
week.
yeah.
You know what kills minorities across this country? Minorities to Americans, meaning people who are not white, is gas prices. It's inconvenient to you for it to be $7 in California. It's deadly. It's deadly to someone in rural Mexico. It's deadly to someone in South America who works for 2 weeks just to get enough energy to heat up a can of beans. The best thing we can do for the rest of the world is have access to as much energy as humanly possible here in the United States, because at least we're dictating the terms at that point. But look not at what the left hand is doing. It's the evil oil companies. It's the evil oil companies. It has nothing to do with the government. Really? Okay. If you buy that, well, I have a timeshare to sell you, or I have a Kenyan prince.
I love the comparison that you talked about. $1.12 to oil companies, $1.18 to federal and state governments.
Yep.
They're the same. If you hate one, you have to hate the other. You can't split them apart. I think I didn't know that.
$1.12 to $1.18.
Yeah. That's insane.
And if you add up all of, oil, not just the oil companies, but the refineries, it's like $1.35.
But don't worry, the plan is going to be raising taxes on people who need to pay their fair share, so that they could just give money away to people that they've raised gas prices on that are affected the most by it. So don't worry.
Yes. In case you ever doubted that they were out for their own selfish interests, this sitting former vice president decided to raise. He decided. You're like, isn't it an arbitrary number? How is this determined out there? What is it out there in the ether? He's like, no, we know exactly who isn't paying their fair share. Really, who's that? Anyone making more than $400,000 a year. What do you make? $400,000 a year?
Actually, $399,999 now. I just passed that law.
Okay.
Yes.
So his last dollar will be taxed at that highest marginal bracket.
I'm paying it too, folks.
We're all making sacrifices.
That's 37 cents.
Yeah, well,
I think. I don't know.
Crap.
Never been there.
And this brings us to also this disastrous, the foreign policy. Look, there are a lot of concerns here when we're talking about Russia and we're talking about Ukraine. It's not just going on there. Now, we should not be going to war. I just don't think we should be going to war in this case, because thousands of lives versus potentially 1 billion. When you talk about even, the Polish army, you're talking about sending in some fighter jets, and then some representatives in our country are saying, yeah, we would support that. That's okay. That's an act of war. Then we're in war. You're either all in with war or you're not. And I just don't want to see more lives lost. However, again, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. And so there's a lot of this has to do with, you were talking about this earlier. You wanted to talk about Iran. And this is something with Biden's policy in Iran. And Jen Psaki got really smug and tried to blame Donald Trump for pulling out of the Iran nuclear deal. But really, that's because it was a shitty deal.
Yeah, well,
didn't stop them from getting nukes, and it didn't hurt them.
No, when you make bad policy decisions domestically on oil production that are going to affect the supply in the world and also the pricing in the world, it forces you into some really bad relationships. And so right now we're actually cozying back up to Iran. Of all people to go back into bed with, because what do they have that we need right now? Oil, right? Yeah. And we also talked about Maduro yesterday.
You know what we have that they need? Bikinis.
I don't know that they need them.
That should be we only do business with countries that allow the bikini.
Well,
when Iran gets back to that, because they allowed it in the 70s and then they became more radical, then we'll sit at the table and talk. Until then, no nukes.
Mask is fine.
Yeah.
Well, one of the people
sometimes a little sexier when some of it's covered up.
Do you guys remember the
like a genie?
Piques the curiosity gap.
Like I dream a genie.
I'll be your Darren.
Not like Shaq.
Don't you need some ocean front there? I mean, just in the sand, it's not going to work.
You can make an ocean.
They have man-made lakes, and by
Not
man-made,
in Iran.
I mean
You're talking like Saudi Arabia's.
I'm talking
area.
about man-made lakes, okay? And by
yeah.
that, I mean slave-made lakes. Go ahead.
Right. A lake, not an ocean.
Yeah.
That would be ridiculous.
Well, you guys remember when we gave Iran, I don't know, several $billion pallets of cash. Kind of the same thing that we did with Afghanistan, except we just left it there for whoever to take it, right?
Right.
So we gave them some money.
Afghanistan, it was
President
Apache
Joe
helicopters
Biden.
and Blackhawks.
Right.
Yes.
When he was actually
Billions.
the vice president. And they, like the Biden administration, sorry, the Obama administration, loved the fact that we were jumping into bed with these guys. And we entered into an agreement with them and gave them tons and tons of money. Now we're actually cozying back up and trying to do that again. And so Iran envoy Robert Maley is close to finalizing this deal with them and giving them crazy concessions, right? I think we have an overlay with it here. They're absolutely stunned by the number of things that we are willing to give away and the teeth that we're taking out of some of the sanctions that we've put on Iran. So former John McCain aide State Department official Gabriel Noronha tweeted some of the concessions. I'll read them here for you real quick. My former career State Department, NSC, and EU colleagues are so concerned with the concessions being made that they've allowed me to publish some details of the coming deal. The U.S. has promised to lift sanctions on some of the regime's worst terrorists and torturers, leading officials in the regime's WMD infrastructure, and is currently trying to lift sanctions on the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps itself. That's insane. You're basically trying to get back into bed. So they're talking about the nuclear deal, right, that they had talked about earlier. They're basically trying to make concessions now to Iran and get back into a bed with them because we have an issue.
By the way, side note, I don't know, remember how I think it was Saturday night we heard all across the news that Russia was attacking a Ukrainian nuclear power plant?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing.
Oh, the fire?
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't happen?
No.
Ha! Fake news, huh?
What?
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Oh, not me.
No, he didn't say it.
I didn't say it. It was the news that
Bring
said
CNN up there. Bring the angry
Yes.
chain gang lesbian cutted correspondent there.
Now
saying,
admonish them.
Look, she's doing it. Look, she has books. She has books.
Those might be real.
She's smart.
That may be real.
Scissoring for
aren't
dummies.
real.
We can't bring the admonish over
That's
that, but we
right. Yeah,
should.
I can't do it.
Dadgummit. I can't believe I got admonished. Well, look, so the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, right? So that
golf
name,
books.
you think that's like their SEAL team, kind of six thing. Well, General Hossein Dagan, who led the forces that killed 241 soldiers in 1983 in Beirut, will be free of sanctions. So that guy is part of this sanction lifting that they're talking about.
And the Ayatollah Khomeini, by the way, I also believe is still allowed on Twitter.
Also allowed.
The companies, the corporations that he
Yeah.
I don't know if it's at a certain point if it's a shell corporation or like a desert robe corporation. I don't know about the nomenclature.
It's a golden
with these
parachute.
terrorists. Going to be worth tens of billions.
Yes, tens of billions, because he's trying to compete with Putin for richest man on the planet.
Yes,
but
exactly.
Nobody really gets to see the
right
dynamic,
by not
right?
starting an actual business himself, but stealing it from his people. So these are the people we should be in bed with when doing
Yeah.
this. Some people don't understand. I understand that when you have enemies, you have to make alliances. You have to create alliances with people who are the enemy of your enemy. But when will you learn it? We should. Iran's not a friend.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make them a friend. They're not your friend.
You know what's really funny, though? So Iran and Russia typically work together to piss us off most of the time, right? And now we're trying to kind of, with the nuclear deal, we're trying to lift some of the sanctions and start to open some channels up. And Russia's like, no, you can't get oil from them. You have to get it from us, right? So this is for political, right? They're trying to actually stop the deal that we're trying to restart with Russia or with Iran right now. I just think it's hilarious. Like, it just makes for very strange bedfellows.
Hello? Ring, ring. Yes, Ayatollah Khomeini, I hear that you might be talking with the United States about oil. Come on, we go back. Let's sit together at extra long table to have talk.
You sit on that end, I will be over on the other end in 3 days.
We will have 2 Maxwell house cans with a piece of string, and you will hear me crystal clear like we are on Vonage.
Yes, like movie Big.
Do they give you like opera glasses as well?
Yes, exactly.
White gloves.
Yeah.
They're just binoculars looking at each other, talking through a walkie-talkie.
Yeah.
Oh, well, look.
Then
You
Wilkes
like
Booth
this
comes up
table?
and shoots you in the back of the head.
all
It's
of this
the biggest
kind of
table you ever seen.
All of this kind of feeds into something else that's pretty troubling, right? With the U.S. dollar.
Well, let me explain this on the outset before
Yeah.
we get too nerdy about it. Here's something you don't understand. The United States dollar, right, is the benchmark, right? It sort of uses the international benchmark for currency. Okay, that's
It's the
important.
reserve currency.
It's the reserve
Yeah.
currency, right? If I say the reserve currency, a lot of
Right.
people will be like, what?
What? Yeah.
What? No, look, okay. So it's basically the currency that means by which all other currencies are compared.
Yeah.
Okay? You, if you're watching right now, listening right now, most of you, the vast majority of you, but likely right now if I'm speaking to you individually, watching, listening, you've experienced that your entire life.
Yeah.
And by that I mean without a doubt you have. Yeah, I'm trying. I mean, I don't think we have any 120-year-olds, however long it goes back, watching.
Aughts.
Yeah, probably not. Although, if so, thank you for your service. So you've always experienced that. You don't know the cold world that exists if that is not the case. Now we're at a point with Russia and China. We've talked about the dangerous alliance that we could see between Russia and China, but now India might want to get into that mix. So if you have Russia, India, China, okay, that's half of population Earth. You're talking about several billion people. I believe it's about half the population.
Like
if not, it's very close.
Billion,
is it 2.9 billion?
Yeah.
I've heard numbers like 3.5 billion.
Yeah, well,
how many we got? 8?
Well, we're trending. We're losing some.
The point is, it's too many billions. Too many billions of people.
Yes.
If they are not, if they do not recognize the United States as a reserve currency, guess what? That is a huge problem for you. That is the end of the modern world as you know it, and that certainly is the end of our autonomy and our freedom. Because that debt, guess what, can actually be called in. Whereas right now, China goes like, "Hey, you owe us money. We're not going to pay that."
Yeah, we'll just print some more. Here you go.
Yeah, here you go.
We didn't say it'd be valued the same.
I don't understand why we tax. I don't understand why we increase taxes at all or pay any debt with dollars that we have if we're just going to print more. Just do it all the time.
Well, you just don't want runaway inflation.
Well, no, I know, but they don't care about that.
Well,
They're turning our dollar into the ruble.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Inflation's good for the economy, according to Joe Biden.
Right.
If you're just going to leave billions of dollars worth of planes in the middle of the desert, perhaps.
It's too expensive to bring them back.
Is this former Vice President Joe Biden? Is he on live right now?
Breaking news right now.
Right now, former Vice President Joe
live,
Biden is speaking live. Let's hear him talk tough about Russia.
Moving forward with this ban, understanding that many of our European allies and partners may not be in a position to join us. The United States
Or want
produces
to.
far more oil domestically than all the European countries combined.
Oh, thank you.
In fact, we're a net exporter of energy.
We were.
So we can take
We
this step
were.
when
Oh,
others
energy, I guess.
cannot.
See the change?
But we're
Energy,
working closely
not
with
oil.
Europe and our partners to develop a long-term strategy to
brown
reduce
marks on the
their
side of his
dependence
face
on
on each
Russian
side.
energy as well.
What is that?
Our teams are actively
took
discussing
one for
how to make
International
this
Women's
happen.
Day.
And today, we remain united. We remain
Two
united
strikes.
in our purpose to keep pressure mounting on Putin and his war machine. This is a step that
You wouldn't know anything about the
we're
war
taking
machine,
to
would you,
inflict
Biden?
further pain on Putin. But there will be cost as well here in the United States. I said I would level with the American people from the beginning.
Well, you haven't.
And when I
You will
first
level
spoke to
the
this,
American
I
people.
said defending freedom is going to cost. It's going to cost us as well in the United States. Republicans and Democrats understand that. Republicans and Democrats alike have been clear that we must do this. Over the last week, I've spoken with President Zelensky several times to hear from him about the situation on the ground and to consult and continue to consult with
Ring. Where's my
our
kickback?
European allies and about U.S.
Where
support
is
for
my
Ukraine
big
and
guy?
the Ukrainian people.
Big guy here.
Thus far, we've provided more than $1 billion in security assistance to Ukraine.
Good.
Shipments of defensive weapons are arriving in Ukraine every day from the United States, and we, the United States, are the ones coordinating the delivery of our allies and partners of similar weapons, from Germany to Finland to the Netherlands. We're working that out. We're also providing humanitarian support for
Changed the word there.
both those still in
That was
Ukraine
bad.
and those who have fled safely to neighboring countries.
We're working that
We're
out.
working with humanitarian organizations to surge tens of thousands of tons of food, water, and medical
Your
supplies.
linguist.
Oh, good. Well, I guess the
Pig.
homeless problem is solved here in the
More
United
on the
States.
way.
We don't have any people going to bed hungry.
I sent Secretary Blinken to visit our border between
Abe Blinken.
Poland and Ukraine
Abe
and to
Blinken.
Moldova. To see
Oh,
what the
borders
situation
matter
is
now.
firsthand.
We don't care about what's going on in our southern border, but
General
we are
Milley,
obsessed with
chairman of the-
Ukraine's borders. I just want to make sure they understand the rules.
Yeah.
Also, what
He's
we've
the
also
last guy you would
done,
want
with his
in
counterparts
front of you
and
or
allies
behind you at a checkout line. He doesn't know how to use that little dividing stick.
countries bordering Russia, NATO countries, that we will keep our
He's the kind of guy who goes in the express
sacred
lane with
commitment
24
of
items.
Article-
Like, you're
of
way
Article
past the
5.
grace item, dummy.
Vice President Harris is going to be traveling to meet with our allies in Poland and Romania later this week as well.
Great.
I've made it clear that the United States
That'll scare
will
'em.
share in the responsibility of caring for the refugees so the costs do not fall entirely on the European countries bordering Ukraine.
Didn't they just make it illegal for able-bodied men to leave Ukraine?
Yes.
18-year-old men? Yeah, that's always a good sign. By the way, I just want to be clear. Of course, my heart goes out to all the people of Ukraine, of the Ukrainian-Russian conflict. I know it's Ukraine, not the Ukraine. Yeah. It's very easy to say because it's just Ukraine sounds weird coming out of your mouth. My heart goes out to those people. But you really are looking at one corrupt shithole fighting another corrupt shithole. Let's not act as though Ukraine is a bastion of freedom over there, okay? If you have to ban your own citizens from leaving your country, that means that a good portion of them don't want to stay and fight because they don't think what you've created, and by you I mean, of course, as well, the Obama administration, the administration that you've installed is worth fighting for. Can you imagine having to ban Americans?
Yeah. From
fleeing the country if there was a home invasion? No, they have the opposite problem. Yeah. That's why they're constantly concerned about Americans with guns, because they know they're going to plant their feet in their soil and defend what's theirs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There are enough Ukrainians who don't want to defend that place that they are trying to leave, and a new law had to be created to Muppet hook them back.
Yeah. Major companies are pulling out of Russia entirely, without even being asked, not by us. Over the weekend, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, they all suspended their
Tell me when you have Diners Club.
All of them.
Yeah.
Joining a growing list of American and global companies from Ford to Nike to Apple, they've suspended their operations in Russia. The U.S. Stock Exchange has halted trading of many Russian securities. And the private sector is united against Russia's vicious war of choice. The U.S. Department of Justice has assembled a dedicated task force to go after
keep in mind,
the crimes.
None of that affects Vladimir Putin. You said you were going to go after oligarchs.
Yeah.
You think he's driving around in a Ford Fiesta with his Nike kicks?
Maybe. On an off day.
He's thumbing through the roughly $800 million that we've bought in Russian energy since the start of this war, going, that's doing just fine.
Yeah.
And then threatened him to take that money and let him keep it.
Joe Biden thinks that freezing his Capital One points rewards card is going to stop. I get double points when I eat out.
Since Putin began his military buildup on Ukrainian borders, just since then, the price of the gas at the pump in America went up 75 cents. And with this action, it's going to go up further. I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's
What a good
price
action.
hike here.
How? Oh, hold on.
In coordination with our partners, we've already announced that we're releasing 60 million barrels
3 days
of oil from our joint oil reserves.
So day 4?
Half of that, 30 million, is coming from the United States. And we're taking steps
How about opening up new ones?
A reliable supply of global energy. We're also going to keep working with every tool at our disposal to protect American families and businesses. Now, let me say this. To the oil and gas companies and to the finance firms that back them.
Real time.
We understand Putin's war against the people of Ukraine is causing prices to rise. We get that. That's self-evident. But, it's no excuse to exercise excessive price increases or padding profits.
We just gave you the numbers. He's vilifying companies that take the same amount or less, depending on the state that this government takes. Think about that for a second. The difference is he has a forced platform where you have to sit here and watch, and everyone has to turn to this and act like he's not spewing bullshit.
Oil and gas industries that are pulling out of Russia.
He's as close to literally pissing on your forehead and telling you that it's raining that I've ever seen.
Make sure we're not.
And I get that it's figurative. I'm pulling a Kanye.
Well, look, let me be clear about
your forehead isn't a diaper he's wearing.
It's simply not true that my administration or policies are holding back domestic energy production.
Yes, it is.
It's simply not true.
Yes, it is.
Even amid the pandemic, companies in the United States pumped more oil during my first year in office than they did during my predecessor's first year.
Because the
first year to first year. What about the other years?
Oil production next year. In the United States, 90% of onshore oil production takes place on land that isn't owned by the federal government. And of the remaining 10% that occurs on federal land, the oil and gas industry has millions of acres leased. They have 9,000 permits to drill now. They could be drilling right now, yesterday, last week, last year. They have 9,000 to drill onshore that are already approved. So let me be clear.
Yeah, how many did he approve? Do we have that number? How many former Vice President Joe Biden approved for onshore? I believe it was 0.
Second,
I don't know.
I believe it's none.
Good number.
If not, it's pretty close.
protect our economy over the long term. We need to
Also,
become
here's a
energy
question.
independent.
Energy independent. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah,
Wow.
wonderful.
Tell me
He's
how
going to
you
talk about
do
green
it.
energy. Okay, then I
They
want to go
have
back to that point.
wean themselves off of Russian oil. It's just not tenable. It should motivate us to accelerate the transition to clean energy.
Oh,
This
of
is
course.
a perspective that our European allies share. And
What about
we
nuclear?
A future where together
clean.
we can achieve
Zero
greater
onshore lease
independence.
sales.
Wow.
Loosening
Zero, but
environmental
none.
regulations,
So he just took
pulling
credit
back
for
clean energy
the
investment
ones that already
won't,
existed
let me
under
expand,
President Donald Trump.
won't,
Correct.
will not lower energy prices.
We also just
for
said it's
families.
not his fault.
But transforming our economy to run on electric vehicles powered by clean energy with tax credits to help American families.
Okay, a couple
winterize their
things here.
homes
By
and
the way,
use
right
less
now
energy.
we cannot power electric vehicles on clean energy. You are many, many decades away from that. Also, you have to understand the millions of lives lost during that transition, because guess what? The amount of lives lost per kilowatt hour, if you look at things like solar, if you look at things like wind, the safest energy as far as human sacrifice, as far as the casualty rate, is nuclear, something that they have ardently fought against for a very long time. Here's something else, too. This is happening in real time. We just were going through what this administration is doing, and they did it right now. All references available at louderwithcrowder.com. But I want you to let's do this exercise, okay, right now. And you know what? Let's have the team ready here to fact check it so that I make sure that I'm not speaking out of turn, because I'm not prepared for any of this. But he just sold you. He said, look at all these, they have these leases, and they're not drilling. They could be drilling right now. Okay, good. So it's a company that you just vilified for being greedy and wanting to make a profit. You just vilified them for being greedy profiteers, right? Everyone remembers that. Okay, so assuming that they are the greedy profiteers you made them out to be, why would they not be drilling? Their business is providing oil. Seems to me you need to drill. Seems to me that the primary actions you need to take in order to be a successful oil company is to first procure the oil and then sell the oil.
Yeah.
Why would they not be procuring the oil? What would be the answer to that? Again, this does not pass a sniff test. Either A, it's completely false, or B, and this is why I said this doesn't exist in a closed loop circuit, oil companies were afraid to open up more drilling because of what they saw happening with this administration, because they saw the taxes increasing, because they saw that it would be less profitable, and not to mention we had an economic shutdown that had people traveling at record low levels, all of which is a direct result of this guy and his ilk. Why would they not be drilling? If you assume that they're corrupt and they only care about making more money, then you have to ask, why would they not do the one thing that would make the money? Oh, unless this guy's going to make it so that they can't make money. And guess what happens? That cost gets passed on to you.
Is he saying any more?
Yeah, let's hear.
They're not about
He's
to
mumbling.
just let Putin take what he
Demented old
wants.
circus monkey.
That's clear. They'll defend their freedom, their democracy, their lives. And we're going to keep providing security assistance, economic assistance, and humanitarian assistance. We're going to support them against tyranny, oppression.
You mean like
violent acts of
lockdowns and
subjugation.
mandates?
People everywhere. And I think it's maybe even surprised some of you all.
the
People
last 2
everywhere
years.
are speaking up for freedom. When the history of this war is written,
not everywhere.
Putin's war on Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. May God bless all those heroes in Ukraine. And now I'm off to Texas. Thank you very, very much. I know there's a lot of questions.
He's always confused here because, they tell me I shouldn't answer, but I feel like I can do it.
There's a lot more that has to be made
There's always
clear.
damn people
I'm gonna
yelling at
hold on
me.
that
It's like
till
my
we get more
dreams.
information. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hold on. Can I just recap one thing that we just heard a second ago? He
Please
said-
do, Gerald, because I'm angry.
I know you're angry, and this kind of pisses me off a little bit too. But he laid out the problem that gas prices are high right now, and they're going to get higher. Okay, you're Nostradamus. Got it, right? Your solution that you just said, here's what we're doing. We released 60 million barrels of oil,
3
not
days
from
worth.
the United States. 30 million came from our reserves, 60 million globally.
Right.
That is roughly 2 days of operation for the United States and China, period. The top two oil-consuming countries, about 32 million barrels a day. That's your solution to the problem?
No, you forgot more Priuses.
No. The other part of his solution was blaming people for making any money as an oil company for selling it right now and raising their prices as price goes up. And then the third thing was go out and buy an electric vehicle. Okay, so everybody in America right now should go out and spend an extra $50,000 to $60,000 on a car when they already have a car.
Yeah.
How many years is it going to take to get that money back on the gas savings?
Hey,
I don't know, like 20?
Do you know
30?
what's worse for the environment? If you currently have a car and you are currently driving that car, a car you already own.
Yeah.
Do you know what's worse for the environment than to continue driving that car? Buying a new car! It's better for you to drive that into the ground than buy a new electric vehicle. If you want to do it because they're fun and they're fast, I get it. I rode in the Tesla thing. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Awesome. There's some pretty cool cars, and I also like that they're made here in the United States and that Elon Musk left California, who, by the way, also tried to force a transition to green energy. Think of that for a second. Elon Musk, is there anyone who's done more for green energy or energy advancement, certainly as it relates to the automobile, than Elon Musk? And he had to leave California for Texas. That should tell you how this ends.
That's incredible. That's our government, folks.
Well, and it's a tax credit telling you to spend $60,000 on a car.
Which is worse for the environment than just driving your car into the ground. The best thing you can do is just not purchase a new car. Keep driving that one.
But the idea of collapsing an entire country, well, the world, for 2 years, and then saying you need to go out and buy all this stuff is astonishing to me. The disconnect between the rich-ass politicians and everybody else in this country is insane to me.
You don't need to be a crazy conspiracy theorist to understand the Great Reset. Let's just go through these steps here, okay? We have inflation. First off, he lies and he says there is no inflation. Then he says, well, inflation doesn't really matter. Then he says it's a good thing. Then he says, well, I'm going to fix this by keeping costs down. Okay, well, let's even go back before that, before we had the inflation. We had an economy that was shut down artificially because the government effectively punished companies. And we also had people who were getting wages, so they were encouraged not to work. So we had a low labor force participation rate. We had an incredible jobless rate. By the way, we still have not added one new job since our peak of 2019. Not one over that, just to be clear. So we've not added any new jobs. We've had a net loss of jobs. We have record inflation. And by the way, all of this was created by the people who are here to help, the government. Their solution now is we're going to force prices to be lower. By the way, prices that you can't afford regardless, even if we had the power to force them to be lower. We're going to enact energy policy under the guise of climate justice that will, he just said it. I'm not straw manning him here. You can rewind this 85 seconds where he said the price of gas, the price of energy, ergo all goods and services that you use in your daily life, will go up while trying to force you to buy or encourage you to buy cars, green cars, which are unbelievably more expensive than the average vehicle and certainly your old beater that you're driving. This is the solution at this point. And then vilify oil companies. Oh, and by the way, we also just declared BlackRock too big to fail. That's what Elizabeth Warren was pushing for. Who's a $12 trillion company. How much are they right now? It's definitely $10 trillion or above.
Yeah.
Who are buying up all of the real estate so that they can create a permanent renter's economy because you will own nothing and you will like it. Everything will be out of reach. You can't afford it. They'll try and provide a credit so that you can maybe try and put yourself into more debt to purchase a new car that you don't need while you're renting from a house that is being leased by one of the world's, not one of, arguably the world's most powerful company that has ever existed, who, by the way, are guaranteed by you, the taxpayer. Doesn't matter if they go bankrupt and belly up. You're going to bail them out anyway. You will own nothing and you will like it as we fight for freedom of Ukraine. Send our boys to war to fight for freedom in this Ukrainian conflict. Yeah, that's what we got to do. That's what, okay. You mean free? What is freedom? Let's define what freedom is. Can we define what freedom is? The freedom to travel, the freedom to purchase any goods and services that you want, provided that it's not harming anyone else or that it's illegal. The freedom to choose what goes into your own body. The freedom to, as an employer, allow your own employees to choose what goes into their own body. Think of how bastardized that is. When you talk about an employer mandate, it's not only forbidding people from choosing what is forcibly injected into them, it's actually telling employers that they're not even allowed to permit their own employees to make their decisions. You will own nothing and like it. You will have no freedoms and like it. And we'll send the rest of our soldiers off to fight wars in which we have no vested self-interest.
This is the best and brightest. This is what you voted for. Everybody who voted for Joe Biden right now because they didn't like mean tweets. This is what you get.
Yeah, not only that, this is what you get when you take a permanent ruling class of people who've been a revolving door of academics and those in government. When people always say, oh, I like intelligentsia. Oh, we don't want intellectuals running our... No, you know what? No. Because Joe Biden is considered an intellectual. Why? Because he went to a good school allegedly, and then has suckled at the government teat for 48 years. You know what? I would sooner take a plumber who created his own business, a successful business, who started as a contractor and created a business and went through that life experience, who actually wrote his name on the front of checks, not just the backs of them. I would sooner take that man as president than someone like a President Joe Biden, or God forbid, former Vice President Joe Biden, or God forbid, a President Kamala Harris, whose greatest qualification was opening her legs for a mayor.
Just let that one.
I'm just following the show. I agree with you.
Well, look, I know we were
And I
talking about some very serious topics in India and
Montel
everything.
Williams?
Let's talk about that either behind the
He's
paywall.
into weed and blenders.
Yes. Is he a big one?
Let's either talk about that behind the paywall or tomorrow. I want to make that macro point about driving India, Russia, China together in kind of this new world
All right,
order.
do I need to bring this up here to follow you? Because I just
we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Oh, can we talk about it tomorrow?
Yeah, let's talk.
I was
about
going to
that
say
tomorrow.
because this just happened live, and
This
I
is
think
more
that we just hit what we
important.
need to
No,
do.
you're
Look,
right.
You just experienced this in real time yesterday. Go watch yesterday's show. This is an exercise that I want everyone to do if you can. If you care about this program at all, or if you want to be able to defend when people say, "Oh, Dave and I make offensive jokes," look, go to yesterday's show. Watch what we discuss. We discuss energy. We discuss energy policy. We discuss energy costs. And we discuss what was most likely to happen. Then today, we showed you their playbook. And not 6 minutes later, they came up and used it. That's what Changed My Mind is. That's why we do this show. That's why all references are publicly available at LightEarthCredit.com. It's not about a tit for tat. It's not about a quadrant view with people who look like they're from Lemony Snicket's on CNN scoring a few points. It's about learning how to think. If you can learn how to learn, if you can learn how to think, that's why I wanted to go through that in real time. Wait, hold on a second. They have all of this access to oil, these evil profiteering oil companies, but they're not drilling? Why? If I serve no other purpose for the rest of my life, and they are few and far between, it is hopefully that you learn how to not only think, but learn how to learn. And everyone learns differently. But it starts with looking at everything that is being fed to you, especially through authoritative figures, through a critical lens, and asking why. Why? Like a 4-year-old. Why? 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 It starts with asking why. If you ask why to everything he just said, well, guess what? You'll find the answers in 2 shows here within the last 48 hours. We're about to go discuss pedophile vigilantism, not pedophile vigilantes. Oh, that's terrifying.
Right, different.
No, vigilantes against pedophiles.
Yeah.
Smash the like button. Leave a comment as to what you think the why is below. That's the best thing you can do for the YouTube algorithm, which doesn't like us anyway. They're not paying us anything. All right, YouTube, we're about to go discuss something that I know you hate, our dislike for pedophiles. Sorry, I mean half your staff. Piss off, YouTube.